planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to survive or evacuate is to leave with us.
Heaven's Gate was a cult in the 90s based out of Rancho Santa Fe, California. Heaven's Gate believed that what the Bible calls God is a highly developed extraterrestrial. Members believed that evil space aliens falsely represented themselves to Earthlings as God and conspired to keep humans from developing. The group advocated extreme self-renunciation to the point of castration. The leader also persuaded the members to believe that a spaceship would approach Earth and take them to a better place. The members were also to wear uniforms that were designed to conceal their human form and gender. The rules restricted all members from the outside world. They were also distracted for most of the day and encouraged to ignore human being thoughts. Marshall Harif Applewhite was the leader of Heaven's Gate cult. Applewhite's beliefs were that planet Earth was about to be recycled and the only way to evacuate and survive is to leave with the cult. He says everything has a cycle, and his father is from the kingdom of heaven, making him a religious being. Applewhite believed all that he told to his members, that the answer they were looking for is in their new bodies. In 1997, he persuaded 38 followers to kill themselves, not believing they were dying, but rather leaving their vehicles, also known as their bodies, behind to be saved on a spaceship. Members showed unquestioning devotion to their leader. Their leader was charismatic and claimed to have some kind of exclusive knowledge or ability. Applewhite controlled members by telling them how they should think, act, and feel. The leader controls family and other interpersonal relationships, including sexual relationships. The group leader isolates members from the rest of society. The group members have their time and daily activities strictly controlled and regulated by the group leader. While some wonder about the next Heaven's Gate, the old one remains operational, at least on the internet. The website heavensgate.com is maintained by 2 former members who live in Phoenix. The website will send emails and videos to keep followers involved and informed, but there does not seem to be a large amount of followers. In 1997, police got an anonymous tip regarding a house in Rancho Santa Fe, California. When authorities entered the home, they found a mass suicide of 39 victims. It was later revealed that the men and women were members of the Heaven's Gate religious cult, whose leaders preached that suicide would allow them to leave their bodily containers and enter an alien spacecraft hidden behind the Hale-Bopp comet. The cult was led by Marshall Applewhite, a music professor who, after surviving a near-death experience in 1972, was recruited into the cult by one of his nurses. In 1975, he persuaded a group of 20 people from Oregon to abandon their families and possessions and move to eastern Colorado, where they promised that an extraterrestrial spacecraft would take them to the kingdom of heaven. Soon after the 1995 discovery of the comet Hale-Bopp, the Heaven's Gate members became convinced that an alien spacecraft was on its way to Earth, hidden from human detection behind the comet. In October 1996, Applewhite rented a large home in Rancho Santa Fe, explaining to the owner that his group was made up of Christian-based angels. Applewhite advocated sexual abstinence, and several male cult members followed his example by undergoing castration operations. The people who joined the cult were emotionally vulnerable and were looking for something to believe in. The Heaven's Gate religion provided these people with answers they wanted to hear, which drew them in. Rio D'Angelo was the only man to escape Heaven's Gate. He said he had recently endured a tough divorce and began looking for answers. Marshall Applewhite then approached D'Angelo and invited him into the Heaven's Gate religion. Applewhite was so effective, D'Angelo still believes in Heaven's Gate even after the mass suicide.
I can say with absolute undeniable certainty that Doe was the second coming of Jesus, and I know it's true.
So I'm here with Lizzie Cameron. I'm going to tell you about Heaven's Gate cult. So it was created by Marshall Applewhite. He was the leader of this religious cult in Texas, which eventually moved to Rancho Santa Fe, California. He was a self-proclaimed prophet, drawing rhetoric from science fiction and scripture, and led his group to commit mass suicide in 1997 in hopes of being lifted into a spaceship. What are your thoughts on this and cults in general?
I think it's really interesting that he thought he was going to get lifted into a spaceship. I didn't really see that part coming. That just really threw me for a loop right there. But, you know, cults in general, I feel like obviously it's really weird because we have our own like religion and stuff, but like if you grow up not knowing any different, I think it's hard to like put blame on people who are a part of them if they don't know. But if you do know, it's a little messed up.
Thanks for your time, Lizzie.
Anytime.
So this is Olivia, and we're going to talk about Heaven's Gate. Marshall Applewhite was the leader of Heaven's Gate religious cult in Texas, which eventually moved to Rancho Santa Fe, California. He was a self-proclaimed prophet, drawing rhetoric from science fiction and scripture. He led his group to commit mass suicide in 1997 in hopes of being lifted into a spaceship. What are your thoughts on Heaven's Gate?
I think that's cool because it's like right next to where we are right now. And I think it's the ultimate form of brainwashing that you can have people commit suicide altogether because they're going to a spaceship.
Great points. Thank you, Liv. Hi, I'm interviewing Hallie. So we're learning about cults, and Marshall Applewhite, he was the leader of the Heaven's Gate religious cult in Texas, which eventually moved to Rancho Santa Fe, California. He was a self-proclaimed prophet, drawing rhetoric from science fiction and scripture. He led a group to commit mass suicide in 1997 in hopes of being lifted into a spaceship. What are your thoughts on this interesting cult?
I think it's interesting how, like, most cults in general kind of are associated as, like, religious cults. And if I do recall, isn't Heaven's Gate the one that was in, like, Rancho Santa Fe?
It is.
So my thought is that it is crazy that something that's, like, 15 minutes away from here was actually, like they're real.
Insane. Thank you for your time, Hallie.
Of course.